Hey, what's up, y'all? I'm Blue Badge Crypto, bringing you another Bitcoin and market update. But listen, if you're not already on the Twitter, get over there at Blue Badge Crypto. That's where you're going to get the most time-sensitive alerts on trends, trading, and analysis in the market. 7 in Bitcoin, guys. We're here on the 1-hour chart. If you've been following the updates, you've been following the Twitter, you know what we're looking at. We had this huge pump up down here from our support and resistance levels. And now we've entered back into what we were tracking previously in this range bound price action. If y'all remember from back in the beginning of February when we pumped up here and we were, continuing this range bound price action right here, we're now back in that same level and now respecting these same exact levels pretty dang well right here, okay? And if y'all remember when we were back here, if you've been following for, at least a couple weeks now, when we were back here and we were making these huge spikes up when we had this absolute ginormous pump, very similar to what we just did right here, guys, where we had this huge spike up, just demolishing all these resistance levels right here. When we did that back here, when we came up and started meeting these resistance levels, this is where I was preaching that we have to come back down and test all these levels as support once again, because we've just annihilated all these resistance levels, okay, without any type of back test. We just blew through the yellow line with no back test, red line with no back test, blew through the channel with no back test. And this is where I was saying we have to at least come back down to the red line and very potentially even lower. And we now see that this is exactly what's happened, okay, where we had this range bound price action. We were looking for a big short right here. Unfortunately missed it by, I think it was like $300. And then we came down and we did exactly what we were looking for right here, guys, where we tested all these levels, right? We have all this foundation now of support down here where we've come back down and really solidified these levels down here that we kind of just blew through when we had this pump right here. So we had all this price action now kind of making our foundation down here of support. And now we've blown through back up here into these levels, okay? So now we're kind of in a micro situation, similar to what I was saying back here, where we have to come back and test all these lower levels. Now we've kind of blown through all this right here and haven't really come back and tested it. So what I would really like to see here is price action come back down. I would really like to see it come back down and hold this red line. I think we've kind of not paid attention as far as price action, is not really paid attention to the red line right here, where it's a huge macro area, especially when we had this downtrend starting. This is what halted our downtrend right here. And it's a huge macro area, even going back to the beginning of 2021, okay? So I'd really like to see at least come back down here and test this level. What I could foresee happening is coming back down here. And I think a lot of people, a lot of retail is waiting for price to come back down into the 42-ish kind of area, 41, 42 area. So I think we could possibly see some wicking down here where we come and test this level and it kind of, gets people out of the market where they're hoping to short around 42 and they're going to get stopped out with, price action coming back down here to test this level. Like I said, we kind of blown through all these support levels. Now, now support once resistance. So I think these have to come back and be solidified at some point. It may not be immediate. And similar to what I was preaching when we were up here, that we have to come back down and test all these levels. And eventually we obviously did so. And I think we need to do so again right here, guys. But something I updated on the Twitter last night was that we could be looking at a potential inverse head and shoulders pattern right here. Or if I just draw it roughly again for y'all, we could have some type of inverse head and shoulders pattern right here, right? If we were to complete this pattern, we would have a left shoulder, our head, and our right shoulder. And I gave that technical target that would be approximately $55,061, guys. If we were to have a breakout of this, a back test, and a pump through this upper line of our resistance right here, of our range bound price action of this line right at approximately 45.5 or so, that's where that technical target could come into play. That's not an overnight thing. That's not an immediate target. We're not just going to have one green line straight up like this to 55,000. It would, be great to see. It would be awesome, but it's not realistic, right, guys? So that's what we're looking at right now. If we go in on our hourly chart, this is where on these zoomed in micro time frames, this is where all the opportunities are right now, guys. Okay, if we go to like the hourly chart, if we go to like a 30-minute chart, this is where the trading opportunities are right now, because we've had this huge spike up and now we're essentially just going sideways. So if you're trying to trade on like a day chart or like an 8-hour chart right here, it's going to be extremely difficult because there's not really any setups. And that's kind of illustrated when we go to like our EMAs, right? Where on these lower time frames, the EMAs have already caught up here, and we're kind of utilizing these. Same thing if we pull up, all of our oscillators right here, where these are offering opportunities right here, making divergences, things like that. We can see on these lower time frames we're making these higher highs, lower highs on the RSI. So this is where the opportunities are right now. But if we go to say like a 4-hour chart here, even the 4-hour chart, these EMAs are still catching up here, guys. So at some point we either have to keep going stagnant or we have to have some type of retracement, because on these mid time frames we're still playing catch up here, similar to what we did back here, guys, where we pumped straight up here all the way, and these EMAs, when price was up here, this EMA was still way down here, similar to right here. So we have to do some sideways action, have some retracement, allow these EMAs to catch up. We can't just go straight up forever, similar to like a 12-hour chart. We're still playing catch up here. So on the mid or on the low time frames, that's where our trading opportunities are right now. Mid time frames are playing catch up. The daily chart is really screaming short. I mean, the daily chart is super overbought right here, guys, and it's actually has another bearish divergence here where we have pretty much the same exact highs, but we're just been constantly making these lower highs here on the daily chart, even more pronounced here on the market cipher. So that's just one thing I'm looking at. Daily chart says, we're way overbought. We need some retracement. Mid time frames are playing catch up. The only real trading opportunities right now are, kind of doing, intraday, kind of in and out, 30-minute, 1-hour chart type trades here, where a lot of people, a lot of novices will just kind of get chopped up in this price action, right? We've had this huge pump up where if you weren't riding a long, I think the long we had was Uniswap from down here, where if you didn't ride one up here and you try to enter, now you're just kind of playing some chop action right here, guys. So that's what we're looking at. I wanted to also go over to another Bitcoin chart here and zoom out on some price action right here, and I'll show y'all what I'm talking about. And this is just one scenario that we could be in. It's not the scenario, it's just a scenario, okay? I just want to showcase everything I possibly can for y'all. But this is just showing how we could be in some form of ascending triangle pattern, right? Where we have our constant high of resistance right here and are now kind of finding that ascending level of support down here. So I wouldn't even be surprised if, we just see some price action like this, where we come down and utilize these levels again. This is just a rough drawing, but just kind of illustrating that, this sideways chop action, which is, really going from 45, all the way back down to, 35 or so, is certainly a possibility where we just kind of range here on that broad macro spectrum. Okay, guys. So that's certainly a possibility that I'm just looking at right now. Again, not the scenario, just a potential scenario to keep your eye on, guys. If we go over to total crypto market cap, I've been updating y'all on this. We go into a 4-hour chart, guys. We can see I've been updating this on Twitter where you've had this clean break here of total crypto market cap, guys, okay, through this macro downtrend line that we haven't ever closed above since we've started this downtrend at the beginning of November, okay, where we've had constant resistance from this solid white line. Do y'all see that, guys? And if we go back into this 4-hour chart, we can see where we've now had this clean break. But even on that 4-hour chart, we haven't had a true back test of this line. So I'd really like to see that, where total crypto market cap could come back to this line, back test it. And that would be in confluence potentially with Bitcoin. Let me go to the other Bitcoin chart, having that retracement like I was just talking about, where we come back down here and test these levels before potentially another push up here. That would just be in confluence with total crypto market cap potentially coming back down here, testing this level as support before another push up here. And that's typically what we're looking for on any break of a resistance level, that we want to break, a back test, hold it as support, and we'll be good to go for continuation. What we do have going on right here, though, is this support and resistance box that I've had marked for y'all. That is where we're kind of finding support right now, guys. So, don't be surprised if we do get, still some action off this. But at the end of the day, I do think we need to come back and at least back test this line at some point. Just like I was saying on Bitcoin, we do need to have that retracement at some point to allow EMAs to catch up and allow some of those indicators and oscillators to catch up as well. So that's what we're looking at on the market, guys, on total crypto market cap and on Bitcoin. Again, if we flash back to Bitcoin just real quick, We've come up, we've met resistance in that range bound price action, gotten denied again here. So, we've building some shorts up right here. There's going to be a lot of stop losses up here, okay? And we're looking for a potential retracement, come back down here. I'd really like to see that 40765 tested. I still really want to see that tested before potential, next move up here. But we'll see what happens, guys. If you have any questions, throw them down in the comments. Thanks for watching today, guys.